What's going on, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. For those of you stopping by for the first time, if you see something you like here today, please don't forget to subscribe at some point during this video. Those of you stopping by that have been here before, welcome back to TLTG Reviews, my friends. Glad you came to see me. So it's that time. It's Sunday. It's time for my weekly rotation. It's week number 21. Stay tuned. So starting off on Sunday. So in the comments, I mentioned in last week's rotation, who knows, maybe I brought up my sin of the day, which was Prada L'Homme Low. And I mentioned in the video, who knows, I might do an Iris week this week. And I actually had several comments in the video saying, yeah, do it. Oh yeah, Iris week would be good. Several, so hey, to hell with it. I did an Iris heavy week. Everything I wore during the day was an Iris-based fragrance or something that was prominent with Iris. And like I said, on Sunday, it started off with Prada L'Homme Low. This one gets surprising performance on my skin because a lot of people report 5 to 6 hours. I got a good 7 hours before it really killed over. It never stayed real powerful past an hour on my skin. It's not a real projection monster of any sort. And the sillage isn't real heavy, but it did stay radiating within a short range for several hours, and it really became a skin scent at the 7-hour mark. It's a pleasure to wear. It's very underrated. Not a lot of people talk about it. And you can usually find a good deal on the 5.1 ounce like I have, and that was Prada L'Homme Low. And then later that evening, whenever I got out of the shower, had a good shave and used my solid cologne, the redwood scent from Duke Cannon. Oh man, the rosemary, you can see my finger marks in there. The rosemary in this thing is prominent and beautiful. I love rosemary based scents. This one is very strong on the rosemary. Don't sleep on these Duke Cannon solid colognes. They are very, very good, and they last a really long time, and you get 1.5 ounces. That's bigger than most. This is going to last a very, very long time. Out the shower after a good shave, it's Duke Cannon solid cologne, redwood. Moving into Monday, right back to that same house as the day before. We had a little cool front roll through. It was in the low 60s, so I figured it was a good opportunity to bust out Prada L'Homme Intense. A lot of people argue this is the best in the line, and I totally can understand that argument. I still say the original is the best because it's where the DNA comes from. But at the same time, this could very well be the best in the line. I totally get where people say that. The wet patchouli, the leather, it's got more depth for sure. It's a colder weather version of the fragrance, and it's very good. It's nothing else smells like this. It kind of stands alone. I can't think of any other fragrance that smells like Prada L'Homme Intense. It's damn good. I actually have a backup bottle that I won in a raffle. Very, very glad to have it. I'll never run out of Prada L'Homme Intense. And then later that night, the out the shower favorite, Nautica Classic. It always finds its way in the rotation somewhere, and that bottle's getting lower and lower and lower, and I don't have it around. I actually had a subscriber send me his bottle because he bought it based off of me talking about it all the time because he hadn't smelled it in years. Sprayed it. This is what he told me. Sprayed it and remembered he doesn't like it, and then just asked me if I wanted it, so he sent it to me. So I do have a backup bottle now, so eventually when I run out of this, I'm ready to go. Thank you for sending it out, my friend. I appreciate it. Out the shower, Nautica Classic. Moving into Tuesday. So Tuesday, I wanted to mix it up a little bit. This is one that I have not worn in a very, very long time. The last time I wore it was when the early stages of the house from Happy Land was sent to me, and I wore it to test it to do a house talk when I did that video. This is from Happy Land Studio. This is Blue Fire. The tea note and the strawberry are very prominent in this one. In the opening, you don't really know where this fragrance is going. Through the atomizer, it smells amazing. Once that transition hits, it separates itself. It's completely different. It starts to take on a life of its own. That tea note and that strawberry note become more prominent, like I was saying, and the iris really comes in a lot more, at least on my skin. And the dry down, I find the iris note is much more prominent. It becomes more powdery. This is one that not a lot of people really talk about. It's very polarizing. Some people can't stand it, but there are a lot of fans of this fragrance for a good reason, because this is one of the more unique, crazy scents that come from the mad scientist known as E.J. Wells, and that's Happy Land Blue Fire. And then later that evening, I got at the shower. Nautical Voyage Heritage. These nautical fragrances, this is what I use them for. Love how they smell too. They're generic, they're basic, they're aquatic, they're citrus heavy, and they don't last that long. They're perfect. They smell like they were made to be sprayed out the shower. Nautical Voyage Heritage. Moving into Wednesday, another one that I find is a bit underrated. I don't really see a lot of hate in the community as much as nobody really talks about it. I don't know if it's for smelling relatively generic, maybe. I don't find it smells that generic. It does remind me of a few things, but I've been absolutely digging Givenchy Gentleman Eau de Toilette. I sprayed it relatively heavy the first application, and later that day I decided to refresh and spray it even heavier. I've sprayed this on my wrist to test it 3 different times aside from that full wearing. I'm really digging this one. I find this to be a good dumb reach iris fragrance. This is probably the most dumb reach, easy to grab and go of my iris fragrances, to be completely honest with you, because it's got a mass appeal to it. I guess that's why nobody really cares for it. It's got a mass appeal to it, and it's easy to just grab and go. Multiple situations this will work, as casual or as dressed up as you want, really. I wouldn't go completely formal with it, but I feel like this is very versatile and underrated. Criminally underrated, really and truly. That's Givenchy Gentleman, the Eau de Toilette, the relaunch. And then later that night, this has been sitting around on my desk. I had gave it to my stepson, and he decided he didn't like it, so it's just been sitting on my desk, and I looked at it and I said, why not? I'll grab it. I got the full bottle, but I went ahead and shot the travel atomizer of Artisan Pure from John Varvatos. It's terrible sprayer on it, but very herbal, citrusy, safe, clean. It's good out the shower. It's another good dumb reach for the hot weather. Is it one of my favorite fragrances? No. Does it get rotation when it's hot? Yeah, it does. It's one that I do recommend that's worth trying. I believe it's discontinued now, but you can find them cheap in the rack stores whenever those open up again. Because that's where I found this one, was at Marshall's. It was a gift set, and this was the travel atomizer that went with it. So out the shower that night, John Varvatos, Artisan Pure. Moving into Thursday, now we're getting into the meat and potatoes of this rotation. Dior Homme. Oh, man, I love this one. I went through 2 samples from Sephora before I got this bottle. It is so good. Oh, man. It maintains the lipsticky iris without the sweetness and without the leather. I don't know why they discontinued it, why they felt the need. It had pretty good popularity as far as I know. It's always, gets mentioned in the community in the warmer weather, spring, summertime, as the lipsticky iris version to go with in the hotter weather. I don't know why they felt the need to discontinue it, but it's great. I'm glad I grabbed the 5-ounce bottle when I could, because now I don't need to worry about it. I'm glad I waited, because like I said, I was able to get a good price on a 5-ounce bottle right before the discontinuation happened, literally like a month before. So this is one that if you can find a bottle, regardless of size, 50 ml, 100 ml, 150 ml, whatever, if you can find it for a good price, you might want to pick it up. If you like the original Dior Homme or Dior Homme Intense and you want a fresher version of that, you might want to pick this up. This is some really good stuff. Dior Homme. Oh. And then later that evening was time for another shave, and I went very citrus heavy. I'll put that video right here if you want to check it out. The shave soap from Alexandria Grooming, Citron Del Mar, which is based off of Creed Millesime Imperial. I went with Gap Yuzu and Chino. It's very, very citrus heavy in the soap versus the fragrance, so I went with a very citrus heavy fragrance to spray after the fact, because I don't have Millesime Imperial and I don't have the Citron Del Mar fragrance. So I wanted something that I thought would blend pretty well with it, and it sure did. I love spraying this one. When I'm in the mood for something real heavy citrus, this is my go-to. And you don't need a lot of sprays. It's relatively heavy on the projection for the first 30 minutes. It only lasts about 2 hours or so and it's gone. Don't get me wrong, but this is one of my favorites to spray out the shower. That's Gap, Yuzu and Chino. Moving into Friday. Been a little while. I was underdressed for this because, I'm just sitting around the house. We're at stay-home order, Nothing formal about what I've been wearing, but I sure wore a relatively formal fragrance, in my opinion. The original Dior Homme. Man, this is so good. So stupid that they changed it. I'm glad they still have Dior Homme Original. Good thing they didn't do away with this, because Dior Homme 2020 can't hold a candle to this, in my opinion. This stuff is so good. Oh, man. I even like this better than the Intense. I love the Intense, but I like this better. It's not as sweet. It's more wearable in my opinion. The sweeter version, the Intense, is more formal. I find you have to dress that one up a little bit more, even though this one's relatively formal as well. But I love the way Dior Homme smells. This is so good. I'm so glad you guys commented that y'all wanted me to do an Iris week, because I sure love Iris dominant fragrances, and it gave me an excuse to pull this out, Dior Homme. And then later that night, Nautical Voyage in 83. Very Nautica heavy this week. Atomizer's terrible in this one too. It barely spritzes and it's real narrow, but it gets the job done. I mean, it gets the juice on my skin. That's all that really matters. Minty and fruity, you know, different take on the DNA. I love the entire line. I can't really pick a favorite outside of the original. Of course, the original Voyage is my favorite, but as far as all the flankers that it spawned, I like all of them. Eventually I'll get Midnight Voyage some way or another, but all the rest are great, and that includes N83. And then finally on Saturday was one that I have been meaning to wear for a while. I've tested it on my arm several times. I had not given it a full wearing, and this was a perfect excuse to give it a full wearing. It's from Armani. It's Armani Eau de Nuit. This stuff is great. Coming off of my chest, the spices came out a little bit more. Off of the top of my forearm, wasn't as spicy. The iris was more dominant. Different parts of my skin with different heat, because there's not a lot of heat coming off of my arm, but there's much more heat coming off of my chest. The spices were really coming off. On pulse points, basically is what it amounts to, higher body heat spots. The spices really popped more, and the iris popped more in the cooler spots. This stuff's incredible. It changes. It can do different things in different spots of your skin, as I just explained. Another one, criminally underrated, that nobody really talks about. It's not cheap. It's 59, 60 bucks with the discount code back when it was 37%. Now it's 35. That's weird. With FragranceNet for this 50 ml. And I don't see it in a whole lot of places, but I gotta tell you, if you want a spicier, not real spicy, but spicier take on a iris heavy, powdery, slightly lipsticky fragrance, Armani Eau de Nuit. Some really good stuff. And then later that night, actually last night, I went ahead, and now that I'm using these shave soaps and stuff like that a lot more, it makes me want to shave a lot more. I used to shave once a week. Now I'm shaving 2 or 3 times a week, every 2, 3, sometimes 4 days. And I shaved again last night, you know, nice and smooth. Ernest Hemingway Signature Collection Eau de Parfum. And I did use the shave cream, and it lathers really good. That Supreme shave cream. This one smells very good. This is perfect. I can't see myself reaching for this one to go out the house, but I absolutely love this one after a shave. This is perfect after a shave. This is a tobacco dominant barbershop style fragrance. It reminds you of an aromatic fougere with tobacco. This stuff is really good after a shave. Can't say enough good things about this one after a shave. I haven't sprayed it and gone out and about, but I'll tell you what, I can't stress it enough. After a shave with your tobacco dominant or even fougere barbershop style shave soaps, shaving creams, whatever you use that have that barbershop tinge, this is great to spray after the fact. Ernest Hemingway Signature Collection Eau de Parfum. And until next time, do me a real quick favor, go ahead and like, comment, subscribe. Do appreciate all the feedback. I love hearing from you guys. What did you wear this week? I had a lot of fun with doing Iris Week. This week will probably be more of a free-for-all. Got some Happy Land fragrances to where I'm actually wearing Geranibus today. Giving it a wear, trying it out. Probably going to do a review. Maybe tomorrow. El Gudo, stuff like that. Be on the lookout. Not really sure what all videos will be done this week, but I will be doing a review on that one for sure. And until next time, I will say, if you get your hands on any of these fragrances and you give them a spray now, I'm very confident if you like Iris, you'll thank me later. Have a good one, guys.